Second chapter of the Apostle Paul's letter to the Philippians, and we saw in that chapter the brilliance of Jesus, who, as Paul says, though he was one with God, emptied himself, took the form of a servant, and became and revealed the light that never goes out. We turn now for this month of September. We're going to go back in time, if you will. We're going to be reading the fourth chapter of the book of the prophet Micah. And here we are going to see that prophetic hope of which Paul spoke and saw realized in Jesus Christ, but now a hope that was engendered centuries prior. So let us hear now the beginning of this fourth chapter of the book of the prophet Micah. In days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and shall be raised up above the hills. People shall stream to it, and many nations shall come and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." When you think of the future, what are the emotions that the future instills or provokes within you? When we think of the future, we know, of course, that it's unknown. It has been said, very aptly so, that the future is unwritten. But what are the emotions that the future provokes within you? Is there a sense of excitement? Is there a sense of concern? A sense of worry, a sense of anticipation, a sense of fear, perhaps? Anytime that we are confronted with something unknown, I think that all of those emotions can arise within us. I'm sure you have felt each and every one of those emotions when you consider what might happen next. Now, I have found that in my conversations with church members over this past year, this theme of the future, this theme of the uncertainty of the future has arisen again and again. We are living in a time of tremendous uncertainty. We are living in a time, as one person said to me, it becomes harder to watch the news every day. We are living in a time in which we see things that are happening that are seemingly unimaginable to us. And so the future for many, many people now has a sense of tremendous uncertainty. There are clouds, dark clouds, that seem to cover those paths into which we are stepping. That was certainly the case for the people of Israel. It is said, well, in the book of Ecclesiastes, the teacher says, "There is nothing new under the sun." And certainly the concerns that we have today are concerns that have been shared throughout the course of human history. An uncertain future, a worrisome future. The people of Israel understood that. The people of Israel knew that full and well. And that is why God has sent forth prophets to emerge out of that darkened path, if you will, to come to the people when clouds and thunder and lightning are all around the people, and there seems to be danger, there seems to be threats all around, and that's when God sends prophets. God sends these people to direct the people of Israel, and to us by extension, to a different sense of the future. It all begins here in chapter 4 with a phrase that is so very, very important. Micah says, "In days to come," or other translations, "it shall come to pass." Micah begins this chapter immediately calling the people to look to the future. In days to come. Now, immediately, if we hear that and we turn on the news at night and we see all kinds of wild and crazy and disturbing things happening, when we hear the phrase "in days to come," we may feel a great sense of unease, a great sense of anxiety, a great sense of trepidation. What is going to come in these days to come? What's going to happen next? What will my days look like? What will the days within this world look like? But the prophets of the Old Testament always compel the people of Israel to confront the worries of the future. But Micah quickly follows up this directive to look to the future. He says, "The mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of the mountains." This uncertain future, this future that does cause fear, this future that does cause worry, Micah says something is going to happen in those days to come. And in those days to come, God is going to be present to the people. The mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of the mountains and shall be raised up above all of the hills. There, if the people can't bear to look to the future, if we can't bear to turn on the nightly news or to read the newspaper, if it is too overwhelming, Micah says to the people, "Look up." Micah would say to us, "See what's happening in the world." But then Micah would say, "But look at what is on the horizon. It is this mountain of the Lord's house that's going to be established." Micah will say, you can't miss it because it's going to be the biggest hill ever. You can't miss it because it's going to stand so tall. And this mountain is going to be inviting. The prophet says, "People shall stream to it, and many nations shall come and say, 'Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob.'" The people will understand that, the solution to the worries of the future will be the presence of God, will be the glory of God. Daniel's beautiful song reminds us of how good it is to be in the glory of the presence of God. Micah is saying to the people here, look to the future. Don't shy away from it. Don't put your head in the sand. Don't close yourself off from what is happening around you. But look and see, as hard as it might be. Look and see what is happening around you. But also, he says, look and see that in the midst of all that chaos, in the midst of all that which causes us concern and worry and fear, there is tremendous possibility, which is represented by this mountain of the house of the Lord. That it is the house of the Lord to which the people will stream. It's a wonderful image. The people are going to stream. We think of like the path of water flowing easily, smoothly, rapidly. The people will be like the courses of water streaming to the mountain. And there they say, we desire to know the ways of our God. We're going to see in the next few Sundays how Micah might explain the ways of God. So that is to come. But for us right now, for us at this moment, the challenge is to look and see what is happening around us. Not to shy away, but to confront this present moment with eyes of faith. To confront this present moment with an eye to a future which is going to be radically different. Now you might say, well, what on earth does that mean when I go out into the world? What does that mean when I turn on the TV and I see all kinds of terrible things happening? What does it mean when I get out of bed and the day seems difficult to face? I believe that what it means is that it is incumbent upon us to keep our gaze fixed forward. It is incumbent upon us to stand in the midst of all that is swirling around us, knowing that there is a mountaintop, knowing that there is a mountaintop to which the people stream. And you see, that image of the mountain is so important, because when you get to the mountaintop, now you can see everything for what it is when you're standing on the summit. Now you can look down and you have this expansive view. Now you clearly see what is happening around you. And now as you stand upon that mountaintop, now you experience the glory of the presence of God, and it is that presence which will sustain, which will give you the ability to put one foot after the other and to step out into the world and to look at the future. Sure, it's fearful, but to look at the future with a confidence that comes from knowing that the author of creation, the maker of heaven and earth, has not given up on that which he has fashioned. Today is Communion Sunday. It's a wonderful day to begin this reading of the prophet Micah, because when we receive these palpable gifts, the bread, the fruit of the vine, these are concrete reminders that we literally take with us. We eat and we drink, and we remember the presence of God. We remember the light that has come into the world. We eat and we drink. We hear Micah's call to look to the future. And with the gifts that God has prepared, we can step out into the world, always being reminded by this communion service that we are not a forgotten people, and that creation has not been abandoned, and things are not without meaning, but there is something yet to come. Micah says, in days to come. The present moment is very challenging for the people of Israel. The present moment is very challenging for us, as it has been for human beings throughout the ages. But in days to come, let those 4 words, in days to come, let those 4 words, they seem so simple, but when you string them together, they can become a lifeline for us. We can say those words as we begin a new day. We can say those words as we feel anxious or worried or even scared. We can say those words in days to come and know that God is there. That God is there, and in those days to come, God will come to us. The mountain of the Lord will arise. The people will stream to it, and down we will go from that mountaintop back into the world. Now, enjoying, as we have heard sung by Daniel, the glory of the presence of God. Fear not, Jesus will say to his disciples, echoing the call of the prophets. Fear not. And with Micah, we can say, indeed, in days to come, all things will be made new. Amen.